What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Simply Soccer podcast. Happy holidays to you all. I know Christmas is just a couple of days away, or whatever you're celebrating. I know not everyone celebrates Christmas, but happy holidays to you, regardless of what you celebrate. I hope you're having a good time, spending it with friends and family. And so in this podcast, I want to go over a few things that have been on my mind this week. And also, we'll go over a few announcements first. So first announcement is I'm going to be releasing a new series sometime soon. And it's going to essentially be it's going to be vlogging, but in a different way. I'm working with an editor who's been kind enough to ask or to offer his help to making these videos. And what it's going to be is I'm going to start recording and documenting my week. So like the training I'm doing, the habits I'm doing, because I wanted to not just show you, not just my training, like I'm going out and doing this routine and I'm going out and doing this kind of mobility training, or I'm doing, whatever it is, right? I also want to make something where I can show you the habits that I'm doing, the behaviors, the meditation, all this stuff, so that you can, take little bits and pieces from that series and apply it to your own life. And I also, the second reason I made it is it helps keep me more accountable, because there are times when I'm not doing the things I want to be doing as consistently as I want to be doing them. And through creating a series like this, it's now forcing me to be accountable because I have to get this content out to you guys. And so if I miss a day of meditation, I have to then say, I missed meditation today, guys. I'm going to stay accountable for this. If I don't, maybe it's later in the day and I haven't done a certain thing, I got to then get it done. So it's a way of helping me stay accountable. It can be a way of helping you guys stay accountable too, by following along and letting me know what you guys are doing. But that's essentially what it's going to be. So it's going to be like 7 vlogs in one video, condensed down. And we're going to be trying it out. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if it's even going to be good, if it's going to be bad. But I would ask that you watch this series and you give me some feedback. Feedback is going to be highly encouraged. Constructive criticism, again, will also be highly encouraged. I definitely want your comments on what could be better and everything. And it's going to get better over time, obviously. The first one I put out is probably going to be nothing in comparison to the 10th one and so on. But I thought it would be a cool little thing to do and kind of like a little bit of a remix of daily vlogs, because I know there's a bunch of channels that do daily vlogs that are really good at it, or do like kind of recording just a day. Like, for example, you can go to Train Effective's channel and they do, for the most part, daily vlogs about what's going on with them. There's another one I like. Oh man, what's his name? He doesn't have many subscribers, but I really like his stuff. He's going for a pro contract as well. I think he was inspired by Nick. So he's doing a 365-day challenge to becoming a pro. And I'm sorry, mate. Your name is slipping. I think his channel is his name. And it's just slipping my mind right now. That's killing me. I can't think of it. I think I'm subscribed to him too. So anyway, I'll link his channel down below just because I can't think of it now. So go check it out if you want to. But because of that, I want to do kind of my own version, and I'm coming back from an injury. So, and I've got knee pain right now, so I have to take it easy. So I kind of want to, document a lot of the training I'm going to be doing to getting back into shape, getting my fitness back, easing my way into it. So you're going to see a lot of me kind of like not doing too much at first, kind of really easing my way back into fitness and building myself up again, and not, going too intense, and then it'll get more and more intense as I see fit, and I see that my body's able to handle it. So that's something we're going to be trying out, something I've wanted to do for a while. A lot of you will know I tried doing like a vlog type thing in the summer, but it just didn't work out because it doesn't really, it's just, I feel like it needs to be daily for you to do something like that, or almost daily, and that doesn't make sense for my channel because I do all these other different videos, and I couldn't do daily vlogs and those videos. So I want to try and do this whole week thing where I will record a lot of what I do during the week, but I'll be able to condense it down into one video, and obviously I have someone who's going to be editing them for me, which is a huge help. Shout out to him again. So that's kind of like the announcement I just wanted to give you there. Just so you guys are aware that's coming out. The first one, I don't know exactly when the first one will come out, because I want to give my editor a chance to actually edit it and actually make it good. But that's just the announcement. So today, what are we talking about? What are we going to talk about today? Just checking the time to make sure I didn't take too much explaining that. But I want to talk about a few things that have been on my mind. You know, a lot of these podcasts, a lot of times I'll go over things that have been on my mind, things that I'm currently building, you know, in myself. Some, you know, things you guys have questions about as well. But one thing I've been thinking about recently is moving away from comfort. And the reason I've thought of this is because I was thinking the other day, anytime I go through like a so-called slump, or I lose my discipline, or I, you know, essentially go through like a few days or a week maybe of just not being as consistent as I know I can be or have been, it comes back down to this idea of comfort. I get almost allured or drawn in by comforts. And this is something I want to talk about because I think this is what prevents a lot of us from taking the actions we need to take or want to take in order to improve. I think it's what breaks down our consistency almost more than anything else. And it's kind of this level of wanting comfort, but in reality, that's not actually what you want, at least not for me. You know, comfort is being able to do something, is like watching Netflix or being able to do something that requires very little effort. There's a reason, like, for example, social media is incredibly addictive. Netflix is incredibly addictive. Things that don't require much effort but give you a reward anyway, like entertainment, typically, are very comfortable. You know, taking a warm shower instead of a cold shower. The warm shower is much more comfortable, so we don't want to take the cold shower, for example. Working out opposed to not working out. Not working out is typically very comfortable in the short term, by the way. I'm talking about like instantly comfortable, because honestly, if you work out over the long term, you're going to be more comfortable. But in the short term, what's more comfortable? Not, you know, staying in bed and not getting up at 5 a.m. or getting up at 5 a.m. Not getting up at 5 a.m., sleeping in is more comfortable. What's more comfortable? Going to work out or staying at home and watching Netflix or just, you know, doing whatever, playing video games. Obviously, going to workouts, not as comfortable. And so we have this resistance to things that we deem as not comfortable. And so I want to kind of moving away from comfort, because someone I've been getting into a lot recently is he's a former Army guy. I don't know if he's a former Marine or not. He might be, but he was like a high-ranking, I think, officer in the Army. His name is Jocko Willink. He has a podcast. He has some books out. And I got into him because I bought his book, and I think it's called The Field Manual to Discipline or something like that. It's his newest one. And, you know, a lot of what he talks about and a lot of what he goes over, either directly or indirectly, talks about moving away from comfort. And I know I think, talked about this extensively. And the problem with this is, or why it's hard for us to resist comfort, is because we don't even know to resist it in the first place. We are so programmed to move towards comfort. So that if you're moving throughout your day and you're not present and you're moving kind of subconsciously through your day or unconsciously through your day, it's much easier to give in to these comforts because you're not really thinking about them. You know, so you kind of just go from one thing to the next thing, and you kind of you have this little internal battle when it comes to something that's comfortable versus something that's uncomfortable. And you usually select the comfort thing because you're not really thinking about it too much. Of course, the problem with this is, you know, most things that are comfortable in this manner, like the Netflix, like social media, you know, like eating crappy, junky food, you know, taking the warm shower over the cold shower, although that one doesn't have too many consequences, but taking a cold shower has many benefits. So I guess the consequences of taking a warm shower over a cold shower is you're missing out on certain benefits, right? But we're programmed to move towards comfort. And there's a reason for it. You know, it's not, you know, as we've evolved, you know, you have to recognize that if you go back even just, you know, not that long ago, moving towards comfort, moving towards safety, you know, because taking risks, taking leaps of faith, you know, is uncomfortable. Leaving our comfort zone, you know, leaving your comfort zone is a risk. So risks are uncomfortable. And the reason, you know, we're kind of programmed this way is because our ego's trying to protect us. You know, when we do something that's not comfortable, our ego, even though it's not, perceives it as a danger for the most part. For example, taking a cold shower. Like when you think of taking a cold shower, I mean, I've done this for a while. Like I did a 30-day cold shower challenge and it was great. I need to start getting back into it. But now that I haven't done it for a while, I think of taking a cold shower and I go, oh, I don't want to do that. That would be terrible. But in all actuality, what I learned through doing those 30 days of cold showering is nothing bad happens. You know, you're a little cold and you're shivering for a little bit, but nothing bad happens. In fact, a lot of good happens. You know, like 30 seconds into it, I start feeling really good. You know, there's a reaction from your body, but because of you're drawn to comfort, you know, you think of that and you go, why would I ever do that? You know, when I can just take a warm one. So we're going to go over the benefits of moving away from comfort. But just understand, like, first and foremost, why we're so drawn to it. And it's that understanding, that awareness that helps you grow, right? So, you know, again, if we talk about, what's another one? Like working out or not working out. It's obviously more comfortable in the moment to not work out because working out, it's stressful. It puts stress on your body. You know, you're out of breath, depending if you're doing like cardio or something. You know, you have to put forth a certain level of exertion, which is not comfortable. It's not. But again, on surface value, you know, on face value, giving into that comfort is not a good idea of not doing it because you know the benefits of working out. But it's not, this is a kind of an interesting one too, because there's actually a detriment to not working out. Like you start decaying, you start breaking down in a bad way if you don't work out. Like if you don't work out your body, because our bodies were meant to move. Our bodies function through, you know, through movement. And when they stagnate, when they're still, when they're not moving, bad things start to happen to our bodies. We get unhealthy. You know, our body starts to break down. So that's one of them that, like, it's not only you're not only missing out on certain benefits by exercising, you know, increased brain activity, muscle, cardiovascular, improved cardiovascular system, you know, all these things, being able to deal with stress, you know, dopamine, you get dopamine from it, all this benefits from exercising. You're also, by not exercising, facing the consequences of that. So it's very important that we get, I know I'm all over the place a little bit with this, but it's very important. The point is, it's very important to start moving away from comfort, even on a very small scale, you know. I mean, when you understand like how the human body functions and how it has functioned for years, even when our bodies weren't even meant to sit. Like when you think of, you know, ever heard that person say like the worst thing for a human is sitting? There's actually an element of truth in that. You know, like the whole fad of walking desks and standing desks. There's a lot to it. When I'm editing a video and I've been sitting down for too long, my body starts to tense up. It starts to constrict. My shoulders start to hurt. You know, I'm sitting up straight too. I try and keep my posture good, but it's still my body. That's not what my body functions to do, because we forget, just because we've advanced as a species and we've moved along to where we have all these technologies that make it so we don't have to work hard, our bodies and our nature does not want us to do that. Our nature, human nature, wants us to move. It wants us to be doing certain things that certain technologies have made so that you don't have to do them. You still could do them, but you don't have to. And the problem with, again, the way we operate, we always go after the path of least resistance. Because I think there's some evolutionary thing in there where that would have kept us safe in the past, right? Because in the past, it was an actual struggle for mankind, wasn't it? Not like it is today. I mean, there's still people today in terrible situations where it's still a struggle. But for like the modern person who's living in a developed nation, the struggles are a lot different, right? Especially if you live in like a middle class type environment, you know, your struggles are usually not as prevalent, not as relevant to what they were back when we were evolving. So when we were evolving, you know, we didn't have certain comforts that we have now. And because we have them now, and it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy just to sit on your ass and do nothing and not have any consequences, at least immediately. Over time, again, there'll be health consequences, there'll be other stuff, you know, again, opportunity cost by, you know, being lazy and not doing certain things, you're missing out on other things. So yeah, so we're going to talk about, again, I know, I just wanted to kind of make sure I'm making my point here. So what happens when you start to move away from comfort? And I've noticed this when I've started doing it. And again, the reason I'm talking about this is because I've noticed more recently in the last few weeks or months that I've been allowing comfort to kind of seep into my life a little too much. You know, I've been allowing it to make or cause my discipline to deteriorate a little bit. And it's always when this starts to happen, I kind of snap out of it and I go, why is this happening? Why is it that I'm not able to do this? Why is my energy lower? Why am I not, why are things falling apart a little bit? And it always usually comes back to the fact that I'm giving into comfort way too easily. I'm allowing myself to eat that junk food maybe. I'm allowing myself to just, knowing that a cold shower would be so beneficial for me, taking the warm one instead. And again, that's a very specific thing, but let's keep it going with like maybe I'll miss a workout or two instead of knowing that I should do the workout. I will sit down at a time where I could just be standing up and walking around. For example, I could be doing this podcast while sitting, but I'm walking around right now as I do it. And again, that's just a little thing, but I'm doing that because I know that's better for my body. But when I'm kind of seeing that I'm moving away from what I want to do, my energy levels are low, my motivation is low, things are falling apart a little bit, I notice a lot of it is I'm giving into comfort a little too easily. And what I notice when I start moving away from comfort, it starts toughening me up. It starts building momentum. Better things start happening. My brain works better. I have more energy. Things, I'm more consistent. And I'm more conscious about it. That's a big one. Because again, I fall into choosing comfort over being uncomfortable, not usually out of choice of like conscious choice. It's usually subconscious or unconscious. So now like I'm trying to be much more conscious about it. When I see myself falling into a comfort, I'm like, oh, no, and kind of back off, right? So maybe I'm like thinking, okay, I'm gonna go shower. Wait a second, why don't I take a cold shower? Being conscious about it, about what I'm doing. And just like as a tangent, the more present you can be on a daily basis, like throughout your day, the better you're gonna be. Because when you're present, you're fully aware of everything you're doing. You're fully aware of what you're doing in the moment. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. You're thinking about right here, right now. So when you have certain thoughts that are circulating in your mind, and these are thoughts you don't want to entertain, you can catch yourself doing that. When you start taking certain action that you would have otherwise not really noticed, but then like, oh, why do I do that? I don't want to do that. You can change that, So you don't actually succumb to comfort without you realizing it. Maybe you'll choose to, and I'm not saying that all comfort's bad. I'm not saying that it's bad to, do something like watch Netflix every now and then or take the warm shower or whatever it is, indulge in some not so healthy food every now and then. I'm not saying that. But it has a way of being addictive. It has a way of getting it so that you start going more and more. You start spiraling out of control and going from one comfort to the next comfort to the next comfort, A big one for me and one again, and I just, to put this in a better way, when I stop chasing comfort or I stop giving into things that are comfortable, when there's an alternative that might be less comfortable but I know will be beneficial, when I stop doing that, giving into those comforts, my life just starts to get better, right? Because think about the things that you want to do, but you don't do because they're uncomfortable. So for example, maybe getting up at 5 a.m. I'm sure all of you, somewhere in you, that if you did that, you would be more productive, you get more done, your life would improve if you did that on a consistent basis. The reason you don't do that is because the bed's really warm, it's nice, it's early, you don't want to get up, it's more comfortable to stay in the bed, stay with your thoughts, and it's much more uncomfortable, even though it's a very simple action to just set your alarm and rip yourself out of bed and maybe do some push-ups or jumping jacks to wake yourself up quickly. It's a very simple thing, like it wouldn't actually take much from you when you boil it down to do that, but because staying in the warm bed's more comfortable, again, this is most people, I think. I don't want to speak like I know that, like I don't know much, but I feel like most people do that. Like they'll give into the comfort. So they'll get up at the very latest they can get up. So they'll calculate it. So maybe if they have to go to work or school, they'll get up just in time so that they can get ready and then go off. But if you were to say, you know what, I'm going to do things that aren't comfortable if they're going to benefit me. You would start getting up at 5 a.m. You would then probably start taking cold showers. You wouldn't miss workouts. You know, you would start doing meditation, and you may think, well, meditation's not uncomfortable. It is. When you have not meditated, when you are someone who is not used to that, that's very uncomfortable. It's not like a taxing thing on your body, but it is for your mind. I mean, to actually confront your own thoughts and let them play out and get to know yourself some more, that's scary for a lot of people. It was scary for me. It's still scary sometimes when I go and meditate. So meditation's uncomfortable. Really anything where you would grow happens outside your comfort zone, meaning it's uncomfortable. But that's exactly where you need to be. So the workouts, the getting up early, the doing the things you know will improve yourself, but you have not been doing it because it's uncomfortable. So start moving away from comfort. And like anything else, start this on the smallest level you can. So one thing I've been doing, and again, this is one of the things like it's been happening recently that I've noticed I started getting into, and I'm like, oh, I gotta stop. One thing that I like, and this works on so many different things as well, is one thing I know is very comfortable or very addictive or something I know we do to fill our time is go on social media, you know, on the internet, browsing YouTube, all this stuff. And one way I like to start when I'm trying to build up not getting used or moving away from comfort is to stop going on those platforms. Or whenever I feel like going on them, to resist it. Because when you start resisting these things, that's actually uncomfortable. Resistance is uncomfortable as well. I read a book called Deep Work. I've read it a couple times, and he recommends this, and he goes, don't allow social media, the internet, and things to run your life. So whenever you feel like you're bored or something and you're just going to go browse, and browsing means you're just kind of, you know, scrolling through something mindlessly. You don't have a point. Like if you want to go on YouTube because you want to look up a video that's going to teach you something or something like that, that's consciously using social media. That's fine. At that point, you're using social media as a tool. But if you just open up Instagram and you're just flipping through the pictures, we've all really done it, you know, in some form on some social media. If you're doing that, it's called browsing. And you're doing it because you're bored and you want to fill your time, and you're so used to just stimulus all the time that you can't just sit there and do nothing, and you have to, you know, it's more comfortable for you to do that. So one great way to start doing this is to stop doing that. Is to start consciously using social media as a tool instead of having it use you. So next time you feel like going on YouTube just to browse, just to look at things, don't. Next time, or at least resist it for 5 minutes. That's what he says in Deep Work. He says you can then go and do it, but at the beginning, just as you're about to do it mindlessly, again, unconsciously, become present, realize what you're doing, and wait 5 minutes. Wait 5 minutes and do nothing. And it's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, how many of you think, wow, I don't want to do that? The reason you don't is because that's uncomfortable, because you're so not used to doing that. But do that every time you have the urge to jump onto, you know, distract yourself immediately. Okay? So that's a great way to start. And that's going to start building your resistance to these things that are just calling to you and you're addicted to, because social media is addicting. It's addictive. So that's a way to start moving away from instant comfort, is don't allow yourself to do that. Okay. Another great way, and this is one, again, this is a little more extreme. It's not that extreme. Again, I told you I did a 30-day challenge of this. I'm a huge fan of cold showers and cold therapy in general. You know, I do the Wim Hof method, or I'm getting back into doing the Wim Hof method. And, you know, I love it because it really teaches you how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Which, when you get to that point, you know, things are great at that point. You know, I haven't quite gotten to that point because I fell out of doing stuff like that. But doing a cold shower, or rigorous exercise as well, like first thing in the morning, is a great way to set up your day to not giving into comfort so easily. Right? So I'm a huge fan of cold showers. So if you're someone who struggles with this, who struggles with resisting comfort and choosing the thing that's more uncomfortable because you know the uncomfortable thing will benefit you. And here's like another kind of thing is to kind of put this into perspective, or to differentiate between certain uncomfortable things and other uncomfortable things. I'm not saying choose uncomfortable things that don't actually give you benefit. I'm not talking about, you know, going out and doing something stupid. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying when you have that choice of comfort versus uncomfort, or not being comfortable, and it's something like working out, or it's something like taking the cold shower, or it's something like sleeping in or getting up, or it's something like keeping consistency or whatever, I'm saying in that moment, choosing the thing that's not as comfortable. When it's like, I could eat this healthy food, but there's a McDonald's across the road, you know, those kind of decisions, you know. And our life is made up of these little, you know, these may not seem like big decisions, but you know how much a fan I am of consistency. And our life really is made up of these itty bitty tiny decisions. So that's why I'm recommending, again, like before you go on social media, wait 5 minutes and just be conscious and present for a second, right? You know, it's a small thing, but you do that small thing enough times, you build up a certain resistance to that. You start building up a good habit, and that's why you want to do that. So I would honestly recommend for anyone who struggles with this, and this is something I'm going to start doing again, is taking cold showers every morning. Again, I'm not going to say this is going to be easy. It will suck for the first few days, maybe the first even few weeks, couple weeks. But it gets easier, and it teaches you, I mean, because when you take a cold shower and you go out through the rest of your day, I mean, what's going to be more uncomfortable than that? Seriously, like you're in a social situation and you're nervous, and you'd be like, why the hell am I nervous? This is uncomfortable. Like I just had a cold shower. That crap is uncomfortable. It's the same when you have a rigorous workout in the morning. I remember reading something the other day in The Tribe of Mentors, which is a new book by Tim Ferriss, and it was one of the guys in there said that one of the things he loves is doing this rigorous group exercise early in the morning. And he said that his coach told him, or his personal trainer told him, you know, one of the best things about this is you just did the hardest thing you're going to do all day. So everything else is easier. You know, you've already done something so uncomfortable, so, you know, difficult, and, you know, so just rigorous, that everything else during the day is going to be child's play for the most part. You know, that's another great thing about doing uncomfortable things. Joe Rogan, I remember saying that he loves doing things that are difficult outside of his occupation, or things that he, you know, would do normally, because it helps him better do those things he does normally. Like he says that like martial arts, like hunting, all these other things help him in his professional life, because it gets him used to being uncomfortable. It gets him used to doing difficult things, learning new things. You know, sometimes you can't see what the benefit of doing the uncomfortable thing will be. But if you take that risk, you take that leap of faith, you don't know what comes attached to that. But a lot of the time, great things come attached to that. Doing the uncomfortable thing, putting yourself out there, moving away from your comfort zone, you know. And the thing is, we all know what we need to do. Like we all know we need or should eat healthier. You know, we all pretty much know, or kind of subconsciously, that waking up earlier in the morning would benefit us. And I'm just saying, you know, start thinking more when even the little decisions, like which is comfortable, which is uncomfortable, and which will benefit me most. Okay, so again, start small. Again, for those of you who want something to start with, you can do that social media thing I recommended with just waiting and you know, whatever. I mean, for myself, I'm trying to make it so I'm only using social media deliberately. Even when I want to watch a video, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to watch this video specifically, and then I'm getting off. Because a lot of times I would watch a video, even if it was like a fun video, like I watch Game Grumps, if you've ever heard of them, and I like their stuff, but it can get quite addictive where I'm going from their videos to someone else, and an hour has passed without me even realizing it. So my rule now is I can watch this specific upload, and then I need to get off. Right? Or I'm going to go listen to this lecture, or, you know, whatever, this Alan Watts talk, and then I'm going to get off, because it's so easy then to browse from there. It's much more comfortable to browse from there, right? But I pull myself away. So I would very much encourage you also to use social media consciously instead of subconsciously, or unconsciously, I should say, because that's going to benefit you over the long run as well. Okay, so that's something you can start with. Again, you can start with cold showers as well, and that's a great one. That one will help you, I think, faster, because it's more uncomfortable. But also the benefit, I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking the warm shower. Like it's not gonna hurt you in the same way that not exercising will hurt you, but you're missing out on all the benefits of cold showering by taking the warm shower. Like cold showers, there's so many health benefits to it, you know, the energy you get from it, you know, it helps your immune system. There's a bunch of things to it. So, That's why I recommend it. I think it's great. I'm going to start getting back into it. You know, I don't know why. Again, I moved away from it, and that's what I'm talking about. I noticed that when I start giving into comfort, my life gets worse. And that was one of the things I stopped doing. So, you know, what is a 5-minute cold shower in the grand scheme of things? It's easy. It's nothing. But by doing it, it helps the grand scheme of things for you. You know, there's a ripple that goes out from doing that. All right, so another thing you can do is look up Jocko Willink. I'm really getting into this guy. He's a real motivational, inspirational guy. He's a real no-nonsense type dude, you know, where he's, you know, he's the no-excuse type guy, which is the kind of motivation I like. The kind of the no bullshit, no excuse type thing, mixed with other stuff as well. But I really like that. He has a podcast. I can't remember exactly. I just watched clips of him on YouTube. You can also get his book, which is, I think it's like the Field Manual for Discipline, Self-Discipline, something like that. If you look it up, if you just look up Jocko Willink new book, it'll show up if you're interested. It's really cool. It's like it's basically like you can open it up every single day and look at something to motivate yourself. It's really cool. So also just to let you know, the next podcast I want to talk about, and this is a recommendation from one of you guys, Morris, who I know is a longtime listener to the podcast and longtime viewer of the channel. So what's up, man? And we're going to be going over in the next podcast about kind of setting up your year or your goals for the next year. I made a video a while back about, you know, how to set yourself up for success in 2017. So we're going to do kind of a similar thing for 2018, or at least scratch the surface so that you're going into 2018 with some kind of plan for your growth. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you got something out of this. I never know. I never know after speaking on these podcasts, because I know sometimes I'm all over the place on tangents. But I really appreciate you for being here and listening to this. I really do. You know, I like making these. I like, you know, just going over the information I'm learning and going over, you know, what I've learned or what I've experienced with you guys. And just to remember, you know, like, guys, on all these things, I'm not an expert or anything. I'm just kind of giving you my views and thoughts. So to always go out and do your own research on these topics I go over as well, and kind of, you know, really to question everything and to you know, continue to be a learner and have a growth mindset. You know, that's kind of one of the most important things to take away from this, I think, in general. So that'll do it. Let's go. We need a hashtag. What are we going? So we'll do hashtag comfort. Hashtag comfort lets me know that you've listened all the way to the end. So it helps me identify the players and the people willing to listen to something like this, take the time, invest their time into learning, into hopefully being exposed to certain ideas that will help them. So hashtag comfort. Also, if you have a question or comment and you put that hashtag with your question or comment, I'm much more likely to answer you, because obviously I want to answer you guys first who have actually listened to this, opposed to someone who comes to the podcast for 30 seconds, leaves a question, and then leaves. Okay? So again, even if you don't have a comment or question, put the hashtag down there to let me know you've listened. All right, guys, thank you so much. Really enjoy your holidays, you know, whatever you celebrate. And I will see you in the next video. We might be doing a live stream tomorrow. I'm not sure because it's Christmas Eve, but we'll see. If I don't see you then, I will see you soon. Take care.